Think about that. But you have to be very smart to borrow $1 billion.
I think a lot of young people would disagree. Young people who are drowning in student loan debt, who are trying to...
Because they're stupid and get in that kind of... No, I'm not saying it's the college. You've been set up. Student loan debt is the worth. I wouldn't touch that crap like I wouldn't touch a 401k.
That last statement about 401k, I'm calling BS on that. Like, come on, dude, really? What's going on? I'm Marcus. You're at the channel of the Debt-Free Dad, where we're following my family's financial freedom journey and learning and talking about finances. Hey, disclaimer, I'm an attorney, licensed attorney, not your attorney. This isn't legal advice. This isn't financial advice. This is just my opinion and letting you know what's going on in the household of the Debt-Free Dad. In today's video, we're going to talk about the problem with people like me and people who are big time, but we're going to talk a little bit about finance YouTubers and, you know, how should you approach their advice? What's the best way to approach the advice or the experience that someone on YouTube is talking about? So today we're going to take a look at an interview that was done over on the Minority Mindset channel by Jaspreet Singh. He did an interview with Robert Kiyosaki. We all know Robert Kiyosaki, the rich dad, poor dad guy. So we're going to go ahead and go to the video. Then afterwards we're going to talk about the best way to navigate advice that you get or experience that you get from people on social media, on YouTube. What's the best way to navigate advice so you don't get burnt, so you don't end up looking like a goofy. Let's go ahead and jump into the video.
More and more young people be going out and buying gold then as their retirement plan?
No, I save gold. I don't save dollars. I borrow dollars. I'm completely fucked up. I'm a capitalist. That's why you want to listen to Dave Ramsey, who's a good friend of mine. Live debt free. I go, why are my friends all billionaires and they're deeply in debt?
This dude making that statement right there, you can tell he talking from a place of complete 100% privilege. Like, there's no way that the rich dad, poor dad that wrote that book, what, 20 or 30 years ago, this is not the same guy right here. So when you listening to anybody on YouTube, and I don't care how famous, how big they are, you know, any of the big guys, anybody, if you're listening to somebody on the street, if you listen to your family member, you always got to take what a person says with a grain of salt. Take the good, ignore the bad, research what they say, because you can tell off the jump. I don't know. I don't know. This dude, like, he wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, what, 25 years ago? So, I don't know.
Think about that. But you have to be very smart to borrow $1 billion.
I think a lot of young people would disagree. Young people who are drowning in student loan debt, who are trying to...
Because they're stupid and get in that kind of... No, I'm not saying it's the college. You've been set up. Student loan debt is the worth. I wouldn't touch that crap like I wouldn't touch a 401k.
Like this? Really? I don't know. Like, you could tell this dude come from a complete place of privilege, which, I mean, this dude been a 100 millionaire for a long ass time, so it's expected. But I find it funny that, you know, first he say, you know, people get student loans because they're stupid, which is ridiculous. But then he goes and corrects that, which I agree with. But I do agree with him, student loan debt is dumb, but there are some caveats with that. Student loan debt isn't dumb. I think more the consideration goes into what school you're going to and what you're majoring in. But that last statement about 401k, I'm calling BS on that. Like, come on, dude, really? During the pandemic, I actually saw the research. During the pandemic, and I'll link the article in the description box. During the pandemic, the number of 401k millionaires, it grew exponentially. Like, for the average person, home ownership and their 401ks are the most important thing to them reaching millionaire status. So again, this Mr. Privilege speaking, in my opinion.
Now, if you don't know the difference between a piece of dog shit and a 401k or a student loan, that's your problem.
So the best cash flow, would you agree, is real estate?
No. I don't even need real estate. I use debt. I'm just looking for an excuse for somebody to give me a loan.
So you go out and borrow money, but then do what with it? I mean, what do you buy with it?
I have to create money from the money. Look.
This is the most ridiculous interview. Like, I would be frustrated if I was doing this interview right now. Like, this dude preaching used to be real estate. Now he like, nah, man. Now he like, nah, man, I'm not doing real estate. I just like to borrow money. Borrow as much as I can to make money from the money. How? He asking you how if it's not real estate. I actually looked and did research just to see, like, man, how this dude makes, how does this guy makes his money? He makes a good percentage of it from book sales. I mean, people still buying the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series. He's been talking about the same philosophy and principles for 25 years. I like to see him evolve and talk about something that he's doing in what did he do in 2019? What did he do in 2020? I know he does do a lot of courses. You know, those courses where they get you together and like, oh, we're going to teach you how to make a bunch of money doing this. And they invite you out to this seminar, and it's in this nice hotel, and there's speakers on stage, and they getting everybody hyped. And when you leave out, you real high and motivated and ready to go spend your money to do a course. So I know he does a lot of those courses to make his money as well. Or he has those type of seminars. He's probably not at the seminars, but he had like professional salespeople at those seminars getting people hyped up to pay for his courses.
When I found this gold mine in China, they gave it to me for free because it was just the transition when they were shifting to capitalism and any communist project that wasn't making money. So we were shopping in China. Everything was on sale. This is 1989 when the Berlin Wall fell and all that stuff was falling. So we found this gold mine in Dalian, China. They said, all you have to do is take it public, raise the capital. So we took it public on the Toronto Stock Exchange, the TSE. We did all the assays, we did all the hard work, and today they're SPACs. IPOs are different than SPACs. Mm-hmm. It's all this goofy stuff going on today, which makes it you got to be twice as smart as a young person today. So we raised $27 million on the Toronto Stock Exchange. We found gold, and the Chinese said, thank you very much.
They took it away from you?
Yes.
Did you get anything back?
Of course not. I don't trust Chinese governments. I've been screwed so many times by the Chinese, people say you're racist. I said, yeah, against Chinese. No, I'm only kidding. It's not the Chinese people, it's the government. You know what I mean?
I can't listen to this dude no more. He's a clown. Not saying you can't learn anything from him, but this interview would have been frustrating. This dude is a goofy, in my opinion. Let's get out of this and talk about it at the table. Alright, I don't know if y'all can see it, but I had enough of that dude. That interview was crazy. And I tell you, I'm not I don't know, that interview was crazy. I think he was kind of making himself look like a goofy. I tell you, honestly, that was one of the first books my wife recommended to me back when we were dating. She was like, oh, you should read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I got it, and I read through I read it for like 10 minutes, and I was like, nah, not my speed. But that's me. I'm sure that Mr. Kiyosaki, hey, he's made millions off of giving financial advice, so I'm sure there's some jewels or gems in there. But that interview was crazy. Like, that interview was crazy. The dude down in 401ks and all sorts of other stuff. So, what is the best way to approach, hearing someone's experience on social media and how you can flip that to your own benefit? I'm going to give you the commonsensical approach. I think the best way to leverage someone else's experience that you're getting, to use it to your benefit, avoid any pitfalls, and more importantly, ignore all the stupid stuff that they say, because not everything is relevant, not everything is pertinent in life. I don't care who's saying it. Me, anybody. Hey, some stuff you want to take in, other stuff you want, like, nah, I don't want to do it that way. I'm going to sit that to the side. First and foremost, you always have to do your own independent research. I don't care if you go to a professional. This is just me. This is how I do it. I think it's a smart way to do it. Even if I go to a professional and they tell me something, after I get the information from them, I actually go look it up on my own just so I can verify what they're saying. So never trust anyone blindly, especially when it comes to your financial advice. Because, like I said in the video before, the person who cares the most about your finances is you. Maybe your wife, you know, if you're married, or your significant other, your spouse, or what have you. But outside of that, nobody really give a damn about your financial situation. Nobody care if you lost all your money investing it in some Dogecoin or something. Nah, so you got to focus and worry about you. The other thing is, no matter what a person is, what their skill set is, what their area of expertise is, some things they say just aren't going to be applicable, because oftentimes they're saying them from a place of privilege. Think about it. I guess, you know, let's just use a commonsensical standpoint. Let's talk about Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey says, hey, save to get your 20% down, then you go ahead and buy a house. So I see a house that I want to buy that costs $250,000. I say, hey, I'm going to save to get my 20% down on my $250,000. It's going to take me 3 years to do it. Then by the time I saved up my 20% down, now that house that was $250,000 is $500,000. So sometimes you have to be realistic about things. You know, everything isn't a cookie cutter, one size fits all. If you're going to spend 3 to 5 years saving up a down payment for a $200,000 house, by the time you're ready to buy that house because you stacked your money up, you're going to get way less house, because that $200,000 house you wanted is probably worth $400,000 or $500,000 now. So the reason I bring that example up is because you have to approach things from the level that you're on. It's easy for somebody like Dave Ramsey to say that because he's speaking from an extreme position of privilege, because there's nothing for him to take out 20% to go buy a cop, whatever it is he wants to get. And the same way when we look at this Robert Kiyosaki guy who's just speaking, like, I mean, the interview was crazy. His comments was crazy. I'll put the link in the description box. During 2020, at the height of the pandemic, 401k millionaires grew exponentially. So for the average person out there, we ain't talking about Robert Kiyosaki who makes millions selling books and all these courses. We're talking about for the average person, the W-2 employee, the entrepreneur who has their business, who they're working. Home ownership and what they invest in their 401k are the most important things to their financial success in retirement. It just is what it is. For most people, the house that you buy to live in is going to be your biggest investment cost that you probably going to make in your life. That's just kind of a fact. It's not me saying it, making it up. It's actually a fact. That's a legitimate statistic. So take what people say with a grain of salt. I don't care if it's an expert. I don't care if you're reading this person's book. And the other thing is, people's perspectives, clearly they changed. Because that doesn't sound anything like the guy who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad to me. You know, if I looked at his track record, I looked and did some open source research. He's a proponent of real estate. Now, I'll tell you, I did go back and watch a longer clip and portion of the interview because I wanted to get some context. And the interview was all over the place. The interview was all over the place. Hey, be careful of who you get your advice from. Be careful of who and what examples you choose to follow. Nobody cares about your finances more than you, so you always have to do your own independent research. And then once you think you got an answer, you know what you do? You research that answer a little bit more. You want to find what are the risks, what are the common pitfalls that people make that avoid them from hitting those goals. You want to have this really strategic roadmap of how you want to move to get from point A to point B. Now, within that journey from point A to point B, you could take some lessons from Dave Ramsey. You could take some lessons from Robert Kiyosaki. I take lessons from Dave Ramsey with regard to my paying off debt. But you know where I'm not going to take lessons from Dave Ramsey? With regard to investing. If I was taking the Dave Ramsey approach, I would just take 4 years, don't do anything but pay off my debt, and then start investing after that. But I know from experience that, hey, my money, when I invested, it's been in a position to grow. So I'm not going to miss out on that time value of money. So do your due diligence. Y'all be safe. Be blessed. Have a good one. Take care. Peace. Check out the videos on the screen. More videos related to our financial freedom journey and what we're learning and talking about finances.